Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to talk about cultivating self-trust. And the reason that I bring cultivating self-trust is because I talked about me dealing with a disability and chronic pain. I've had to deal with a lot of shame and a lot of guilt and feeling like I kind of betrayed myself when it comes to my body and not listening to myself. I know for years I had chronic pain, and unfortunately, it led to me going into the hospital and now dealing with a temporary disability for about the last past like 8 going on 9 months. I was on a walker and then on a cane, and I was bedridden for a long time. Throughout all that, I just felt so betrayed by my body, mostly by myself. It's important to talk about this because a lot of us are having a lot of self judgment. A lot of us are having a hard time really trusting ourselves. Like, if we can really trust in our opinion, in our experience, do we really have enough wisdom to really be able to trust ourselves that we're making the right decision? And even when we do, we second guess ourselves a lot of the time. I find myself talking about this a lot because I just don't want people to have a breakdown, either emotionally or physically, because you weren't listening to your body, to your emotions, or even to the warnings, that little voice that said that maybe you should check in with yourself. So, first off, I want to kind of delve into why we may not trust ourselves. I know for me, when it came to my parents, they weren't doing adulting very well, as they say. And because they didn't really have that modeled for them when it comes to self trust or trusting adults or really having adults show up, they really weren't able to do that for themselves, let alone us. So that kind of creates instability in our life, and it tells us that we can't really trust the adults in our life. So we kind of start to depend on ourselves. And when you're so young and you're depending on yourself, you'll make a lot of mistakes. And I know for me, making a lot of mistakes and not making things right, I often judged myself so harshly because I felt that I needed to do things perfectly because it was detrimental to me. I was very much on survival mode. And as an adult, even though I wasn't on survival anymore, even though I was able to take care of myself financially, emotionally, I never really learned how to be compassionate towards myself. I was started to build this habit where I couldn't trust others, but I also kind of built a habit where I couldn't trust myself. And on top of that, the habit was also that whenever I made a mistake, I severely judged myself for it, shame myself for it, because again, it was detrimental to the survival. But now as an adult, I needed to learn how to be more compassionate, how to put boundaries, to learn to communicate my wants and my needs. But how do we begin to do that when we never been really taught? For me, it became a lot of like taking accountability that yes, these things happened when I was young, but now I was an adult. Now it's up to me to take accountability of the things that I could change. I can't change what happened to me when I was little, and none of that was my fault, but I needed to take accountability that I was now an adult and I wasn't doing the things that I needed. And that's because, yes, I had some ignorance as to how really get the help, but I also needed to do my research. And fortunately for me, like I mentioned in another video, is that I was introduced to therapy when I was young. And although it was only for a few weeks, I knew that there was something out there that could possibly help me to become a better adult, to start reparenting myself and learn how to put those boundaries and to learn how to trust myself. And I knew that had to do with becoming more compassionate and understanding and stopping the criticism and the things that I said to myself when I did make mistakes or I didn't make the right decision. So like I mentioned, boundaries. Boundaries was such a big thing to me because there is this book called Boundaries by Nedra, and I'm going to mispronounce her name, so I'm going to go ahead and link the book below, that I started to read. And even as an adult, that whole book was a love letter. Boundaries in your life is really about having self love and having love for others. Upholding your boundaries, it takes so much courage. To start putting boundaries also takes a lot of courage. And it's a practice that you have to continuously uphold with people that don't necessarily respect your boundaries, but you also have to uphold that with yourself. When I was going through my disability and I was bedridden, I needed to uphold my boundaries when it came to my energy. I've needed to first sit down with myself and understand, like, I don't have the energy to even be on the phone. I didn't even have the energy to hold up my phone. So, how was I even going to have the energy to have a conversation? And I felt very guilty about this because people were calling and checking in on me. And although I missed that, and being disabled and bedridden can be very isolating, I had to honor myself that I only had so much energy to give others if I only had so much energy to hold up a phone. I know that it can be very difficult to uphold your boundaries with people when you don't even know what you want or what you need or what you desire. And that's the first thing that many of us have to do is start to cultivate a safe space. And a safe space to me was journaling. And whenever I didn't have the words, it became. So as you can see, I lost audio here, and rather than have to re-record or just get rid of the video, I decided that I was just gonna auto record on top of it. So what I was getting ready to say here is that journaling became my safe space to express myself, to really feel, put down the things inside me that I couldn't express out loud, and being able to fully express what was happening inside and feel safe to put it down on a page, and then being able to get to a point where I was actually writing and allowing some of my friends to see it. And then that moved over to finally going to therapy and then being able to trust another person with a lot of the things that happened to me. Going to therapy and really helped validate me. It helped let me know that I wasn't alone and that I wasn't being judged or shamed for the things that I was going through. So when we're doing the internal work, yes, it brings up a lot of trauma, a lot of things we got to work on, but the people that are now showing up in our life are starting to mirror and show the new habits that we're starting to prove, the work that we're doing. And it may seem like a lot, especially when you start therapy. It can be very heavy because you're starting to face a lot of things that you never had to face before. But once you work through that and start getting to the other side where you start feeling like you're healing, you'll start attracting those relationships that are healthier. There'll be those people that respect your boundaries. There'll be those people that want to help you evolve. And there'll also be those people that will hold you accountable. Just like you're holding yourself accountable and doing the work, other people will start showing you how to be accountable, and they'll start helping you evolve, and you'll start having a more loving and safe community where you are able to grow. I especially remember a relationship with someone where it was a partner, and I was seeing how well they were able to hold space, not just for me, but for themselves, how well they were able to help guide me, but also have me respect them, have me be able to step away when I was possibly being reactive instead of responsive. And it just really helped me see how much my relationships were changing to the person that I wanted to be. So just to reflect, here are a few things that will help you to cultivate self-trust. Number one, remember self-compassion. You may not have thought of that or had an upbringing that allowed you to have self-compassion. It may not have been modeled for you. Number two, remembering to take accountability. The past, it can change, and the people that may have raised you or the people that were around you, you may not have control of that, but now you can take accountability moving forward when it comes to getting the help that you need, doing a lot of introspection, and possibly talking to a counselor or a therapist. Number three, I talked about boundaries. For me, the book Boundaries just showed me really about self-love. When you have boundaries and others respect them, it just shows that they love and respect you, and that it takes a lot of courage sometimes, but boundaries are very important to your self-love process. Number four is cultivating a safe space for yourself. It's really important to find something that helps ground you, something that makes you feel safe. And for me, it started with journaling, and after journaling, putting all those emotions and feelings on paper, I was able to talk to a counselor. I was able to open up to friends, and I was able to start attracting those relationships that started to mirror the work that I was doing. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you found it helpful. Let me know how you felt about the tips that I shared, and if you have any of your own that helped you